السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. النحو الواضح, the clear Arabic grammar by Ali Al-Jarim and Mustafa Amin. Lesson 6. In this lesson titled الموازنة بين الفاعل والمفعول به, the comparison between subject of a verb and the object of a verb. As usual, the lesson is divided into 3 sections: examples, rules, and exercises. So in this lesson, we will recap the differences between al-fa'il, the subject, and al-maf'ul bihi, the object. We'll also identify the case endings that distinguish them, such as marfu' for the subject and mansub for the object. And finally, we will summarize the key points given in the conclusion of the lesson under the section called an-nata'ij. Let's start with al-amthila. يجر الحصان العجلة. يجر الحصان العجلة. The horse pulls the cart. قطف الغلام الزهرة. The boy picked the flower. ربطت فاطمة الجدية. Fatima tied the baby goat. Now, if you remember the lesson before, we might have at some point, not every time, but sometimes we translated shadda as tied, but that's not true. Shadda means tightened, as we have correctly translated in the beginning or stated in the beginning of that lesson. But sometimes I think we might have said tied. But ربطت is tied. Fatima tied the baby goat. يسقي الفلاح الزرع. The farmer waters the crops. قذف اللاعب كرة. The player threw the ball. حبس الشرطي اللصة. The policeman imprisoned the thief. So from the examples we have just seen, the book now summarizes what has been taught in 5 key points. These points, they help us understand the differences between the subject, or the difference, shall I say, the subject, between the subject, al-fa'il, and the object, al-maf'ul bih. So the first point is أن كل فاعل وكل مفعول به اسم. أن الفاعل هو الذي صدر عنه الفعل. أن المفعول به هو الذي وقع عليه الفعل. أن الفاعل آخره مرفوع. أن المفعول به آخره منصوب. Let's break them down a bit further. So we removed the fi'l just for simplicity to make it easier. So the conclusion we draw from the previous examples are أن كل فاعل وكل مفعول به اسم. So every subject and every object is a noun. Every subject and every object is a noun. Okay, what does that mean? It means that neither the fa'il, subject, nor the maf'ul bihi is a verb or harf. So they're not verb or particle. If you remember the lesson that we covered previously titled أجزاء الجملة, or the parts of a sentence, which we have already covered, we said الكلمة ثلاثة أنواع. Okay, a word is of 3 types: اسم, noun, وفعل, verb, وحرف or particle. So now you should clearly understand both the subject, al-fa'il, and the object, maf'ul bihi. They are nouns. So this is what they have in common. They are both nouns, asma, not verbs, not particles. So not harf, not fi'l. This is something they have in common. Remember, the lesson is al-muwazanatu bayn al-fa'ili wal-maf'ul. So what we're doing is comparison between them. And here the similarity is that what they have in common is that they're both noun. I hope that's clear. The second point between fa'il and maf'ul. So the second point is أن الفاعل هو الذي صدر عنه الفعل. أن الفاعل, the subject, هو الذي صدر, is the one from whom the action originated from. عنه الفعل. So the action originated from the fa'il. Okay, so if you really now look, I'm sure you understand, but let me just quickly go through. Here, this is the fa'il, okay? الحصان is a fa'il. الغلام is a fa'il. فاطمة is fa'il. So, الحصان is the one that did the pulling. Okay, الغلام is the one that did the picking. فاطمة is the one that did the tying. Okay, الفلاح is the one that did the watering. So the subject is the one from whom the action originated from. So the action is done by this fa'il, fa'il, fa'il. So they are the ones that the subject, sorry, they're the ones that did the action. Okay. And the مفعول به, the third point is أن المفعول به هو الذي وقع عليه الفعل. The object is the one who receives the action. The object is the one who receives the action. So what is being pulled? العجلة, the cart is being pulled. What is being picked? الزهرة. Okay, الزهرة is the one that's been picked. الجدية is the one that's been tied. So the baby goat is the one that the action falls on. Okay, the action falls on the jadiyah, that the baby goat is being tied. So the object is the one who receives the action. The tying happens on the jadiyah. And the fourth point says أن الفاعل آخره مرفوع. What does that mean? It means, as we've covered before, the subject ends in the nominative case, مرفوع. Okay, so it means that you see, it has the symbol مرفوع, which is ضمة here, ضمة. So الحصان, الغلام, فاطمة, الفلاح, so on and so forth. So they carry ضمة. They are in the nominative case. In the nominative case, مرفوع. And the final point here, which is أن المفعول به آخره منصوب. Okay. The object ends in the accusative case. What does that mean? It has فتحة. العجلة, الزهرة, الجدية, الزرعة, الكرة, اللصة. So the object ends in the accusative case. Okay. So in summary, both the subject فاعل and the object المفعول به are nouns. So this is something they have in common. They're not verbs or particles, but belong to the category of ism, noun. Okay. The second point is the subject is the one who performs or initiates the action. أن الفاعل هو الذي صدر عنه الفعل. So the subject is the one from whom the action originates. Okay. While the object, so the third point, أن المفعول به هو الذي وقع عليه الفعل. So the object is the one who receives or is affected by the action. So grammatically, and in the fourth point, grammatically, the subject ends in the nominative case, مرفوع. And the object ends in the accusative case, منصوب. These distinctions help us clearly identify the role each word plays in a sentence. So what we could do here is we could do i'rab, okay, but we will end it here. Thank you very much.